Okay. Good evening, everyone. Yeah. Anyone here that can mute their laptops would be great. Thank you. No reverb. Okay. Hello. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for being here. We appreciate you being here. Thank you for all your time, and for senators, thank you. We're gonna go ahead and get started, but of course, we're gonna go down through the rundown that we do every single meeting before we begin, make sure that we're safe and we're adhering to all the protocols. So please remember, for everyone online with us, all the senators, your attendance will be taken when you entered into the meeting by Secretary Myers. So that is jotted down, do not worry. Remember that people in person here, your attendance will be taken via roll call. So that will start once the normal order has begun. To be recognized, please remember to stand up and raise your name placard. And I will call on you in the order that I see everything, and we will move forward that way. To be recognized online, please remember that you are to use the hand raise function. That's for everyone that wishes to be recognized and wishes to speak. Please use the raise hand function. I have myself, I have Lily, and I have Matthew up here helping me keep track of everyone who's online. So we will see you, do not worry. And then motions must also be typed. So please remember that if you wish to make a motion, please type that in. That will be seen, and we'll make sure that it's recorded and that your motion is followed. Remember, for people in person, there is an entrance and there's an exit. Please use the respective designation. So if you wish to leave, exit on my left, your right. If you wish to enter, enter on my right, your left. There's a hand sanitizing station outside the entrance door. Please use that prior to entering back into the room. Also, another reminder, please make sure that you're appropriately wearing your mask. I do not want to see it beneath your nose, please. That's just not safe, and it's defeating the purpose. So please make sure that you're wearing it properly, and we'll have no issues, and everyone will be safe. Again, no congregating after the meeting, so please just see yourself out in an orderly fashion. I know we all want to talk, we all want to hang out, discuss the business, but just for safety protocol, we have to make sure that we get in and we get out. Also, another reminder, please be aware of the the SJ statute surrounding your dress code. Remember that it is business professional. If there's any issues with that, of course, we wish to be accommodating and as best as we can. If that's an issue, please let us know. And don't also forget that there are on-campus resources for you to selfishly plug the professional clothing closet, which is a great resource. We have the director here with us to my right here, Matthew. So if you have any questions, direct them to Matthew. But anyway, those are resources available to you. And then finally, both for online and in person, just be attentive. This meeting, we have several pieces of stuff to get through, so just be aware of that. I hope everyone went to the weekly and looked at the agenda and reviewed it and made themselves familiar so we can actually have good discussion. And I encourage everyone here before we get started, if you have something to say on a piece of legislation or a question, ask it. This is your time to do that, and use it. Use the floor, use your time. If you wish to support something, even if you have nothing negative to say something positive. Maybe your friend wrote it, maybe someone you know, maybe you wish to give props to a senator, one of our staff members, a page, do that. This is your time, that's the floor. So with that, that's all I got. Thank you for the rundown, being patient with me. But with that, we're gonna go ahead and get started. Actually, before we get formally started, we have to have a gavel. I will now call to order this Senate session of the 33rd Senate. Secretary Myers, can you please now call the roll?
Alejandro Collins. Carlton Smith. Chance Lacey. Chris Harmon. Christopher Jew. Christopher Simon. Sierra Thomas. Here. Dylan Fauntleroy. Ella Baxter. Here. Gabriella Gagliano. Here. Graham Hall. Here. Adam Powell.
Here.
Hank Manning. Here. Jack Nazad.
Here.
Jared Isaacs.
Here.
Julia Eden. Here. Kendall Henry. Libby Poland. Here. Lindsay Smith. Marilyn Dyer. Here. Morgan Lilly.
Here.
Patrick Femia.
Here.
Sam Bryant.
Here.
Rebecca Brotons. Samuel Cook.
Here.
William Kervin.
Here.
Tanya Williams. Joseph Fredman. Risha Hedge. Matthew Jew. Gabriella Lewis.
Secretary Myers, do we have a quorum?
Quorum has been met.
Thank you, Secretary Myers, for calling the roll. With that, we're to continue on with the next order of business, the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Okay. Seeing as we have a quorum, we're now in line for the approval of the agenda for tonight's meeting. The agenda was sent out last Friday for everyone to look at, and now Secretary Myers will display it on the screen for everyone now. Are there any additions or corrections that need to be made to the agenda at this time? The chair recognizes Senator Dyer. There's been a request for information. Can you mind coming up to the podium? Just so we can make sure everyone online hears it too. Thank you.
Sorry, this is not serious, but I just have been looking through this, obviously yesterday. There's some stuff on here that wasn't on Sierra's email that she sent out. Is that allowed? Are we allowed to do that?
Yeah. No, so that's a great question, and we can point it out. So Senator Dyer is referring to two pieces of legislation that were added to the docket. That can be done through an emergency vote via the legislative cabinet per the SGA statutes.
Okay. All right, I just wanted to point that out and make sure, because it was sent at like 8:30 last night. So just making sure you're fine. Thank you guys.
Thank you, Senator Dyer. Yeah, and I hope everyone noticed that, and I can point it out. The two that were done via emergency vote were Proclamation 3010, and then the Resolution 33-11, lighting enhancements and the funding bill. The chair recognizes Senator Thomas.
Motion to amend resolution
3311? Okay. There's been a motion to correct the spelling of Campufus.
I also, it's like, it says resolution 3311.
Yeah, it does. There's been a motion to correct the agenda. Do I hear a second? There's been a motion and a second to correct the agenda. All those in favor? We're good. Please say aye. Everyone online? Type aye into the chat. Okay. With that, it passes. Thank you, Senator Thomas. The Senate is now grammatically correct. Thank you, Secretary Myers. Okay. Are there any other additions or corrections that need to be made to the agenda at this time? Seeing no objections, the amended agenda is approved. We are now in line for the approval of the minutes from our last meeting of the 33rd Senate. For the next minute, please read over the minutes shared on the screen now. Are there any additions or corrections that need to be made at this time? Anyone online? Good. Okay. Seeing no objections, the minutes are approved. We'll now move to open forum. This is where we get to hear from students that have joined us this meeting. So we're going to open that up to any students here in the chamber that wish to speak. If there are any students, please use the hand raise function and we'll call on you. Seeing no students wishing to speak to open an open forum, I'll formally close that and we'll move on. We're now in line for officer reports. To ensure an efficient meeting, especially here on Zoom in this hybrid version, we're gonna be limiting all updates to 2 minutes and then to committee chairs to 30 seconds. So first off, the chair would like to recognize President Asim Ahmed.
What's going on, y'all? So I'll keep it short. I only got a few updates. Today we had a meeting with student affairs, emergency preparedness, smart comms, and someone else that I can't remember. But we just talked about push notifications, so that update to the UGA app is still slated for next fall. It's a lot of coding, so the ITS will take them a while for that. There should be another update coming soon on the app to make it look a lot prettier and a lot more user friendly. It's kind of something that SGA started a few years ago and hasn't really touched since. So gender neutral bathrooms will be more upfront, as well as you'll be able to toggle the apps that you want to use. So we did a survey. Pretty much everyone uses UGA Bus. They use Athena and ELC. We're adding DegreeWorks to it, but so it'll be easier to use, more user friendly. And then the next update will have push notifications, which again, just want to emphasize, that's actually a really big deal to have push notifications. So we'll have essentially the power to notify all students who have the app about something that we want. So we're creating criteria of what deems a push notification. Also had a meeting with the new EO director, Kiana Wilson, and met with her about student representation on the sexual assault response team to talk about to see if we can emulate models similar to peer and aspirational schools like University of Michigan and Georgia Tech. And so what their model is, they essentially have a response team and then a SGA committee, subcommittee that works in tandem with those committees. So we're just having an inquisitive meeting talking about what we could do, and we're gonna go, we left to see that meeting with a to-do list, and it's essentially to meet with SEC schools and other aspirational schools to see what they're doing. And then lastly, commencement speaker apps are due tomorrow at noon. So if you are graduating and are interested in being the commencement speaker, please do not hesitate to apply. And interviews will probably be next Wednesday. That's all I got. I'll pass it over to VP Cheryl.
The chair recognizes Vice President Gopal.
Hey guys, just a couple quick updates. We have some legislation coming in the last Senate meeting, hopefully if it gets, what you call it, to talk about the diversity, inclusivity, and equity modules. I have a meeting tomorrow with neighborhood leaders to talk about possible scholarship opportunities for Athens Clark community kids, and that's it from me. And I guess I'll hand it back over to Senate President Sam.
All right. Thank you, Vice President Gopal. The chair would like to recognize Treasurer Cook.
Hey y'all, so we have a busy week coming up. We just finished, so I'm trying to pull this up real fast. We just did a long training for all campus, and next week we have all campus pretty much every day. And so we'll be doing that. Last week we had small clubs, and we granted $768 to 3 different organizations. We have small clubs again next week, and then we're trying to decide. I think the last small clubs is going to be on the 30th, because once the new administration is in, there's no more small clubs any longer. But yeah, so that is my update.
Thank you, Treasurer Cook. Oh, no, you're good. Okay. With that, some updates from me. So first off, welcome. So good to see all of you. We have a good meeting tonight. We have a few things on our docket, as we've talked about earlier. So please pay attention to that, be involved. I highly encourage you to speak if you have something to say, whether it's positive, negative, all discussion needs to be out on the floor. Then remember that we have our Senate COVID-19 protocol. That's what we're using to follow. I just have to remind everyone every single week we have Senate, and make sure that we're following that to our utmost, because safety is our top priority here. Then I also want to talk about one of the pieces of legislation we've talked about and given updates about. It was our lighting prioritization bill. I want to say a big thank you to Matthew and Sierra and Chris Jew for going on that walk and for making this a reality. Matthew started this a few years ago, and it's something that we've continued to work on, and it's important that we do it. And it really is used by the administration to basically amend their list to reflect our priorities. And it's essential that we do this, and it's a great partnership building with UJPD, architects, and with Facilities Management Division. So thank you all for that, and you're having your hand in that. This will be coming to the floor. We'll talk about it, but it's super integral and super important. And finally, we also, I hope all of you knew, or we're looking at the Slack. I hope so. If you're not looking at the Slack, please look at the Slack. There's tons of info out there from our wonderful staff members who are doing a lot of work, and we need y'all to be active and engaged with that. And they're playing an integral role, and we need everyone else to step up too. So please be aware of that. Go on there. They send something out, respond to it, use it. And that is just essential. We have a couple weeks left, but there's still time in that in this duration to actually do something and get stuff done. And so please, find something you're passionate about. Reach out to people. Connect with another senator. Connect with a staff member, with a page. Our pages have now joined us, and they're hard at work doing stuff. And they've only been here for like a couple months. And thank you so much for your hard work too, and I really appreciate it. But the blood drive, getting back, come full circle. So we had our blood drive today. That was done through a piece of legislation by Christopher Jew. So congrats, Christopher. I hope some of y'all that you came and volunteered. Thank you. A big thank you and shout out to Matthew and Madison, who in the evening prior to today went out and did flyers and everything, set up A-frames, and got the word out. And thank you to everyone who volunteered. I was there a couple times. It was a great event. If you went and gave blood, thank you. If you went and participated, thank you. And just using this as like a pedestal just to talk about some of this. If there's something we're doing in Senate that needs social media plugs, use your platforms that you have at your fingertips that are probably sitting in your pocket or your backpack right now, or at your keyboard, and plug what we're doing in Senate. Plug what you're doing in Senate, what they're doing in Senate, our staff members, our pages, and get that out to people. It's essential that we do that, because I think you've probably heard, and I hear it almost daily. What does SGA do? People in here, all the senators here, could help resolve that question. So I encourage you, when we have graphics, when we have events, to participate in them. We only had 1 senator, 2 senators give blood, and we only had a couple senators actually participate, because we recognize that everyone cannot give blood, but we had some people volunteer to participate, and then a lot of people didn't even help. So just be aware of that. We know, and help out your fellow senators and help out our staff members. But anyway, get off my soapbox. Congrats to Senator Jew, great work. This is something that this chamber, this room, can do to provide a good and provide a service to students, our state, and our country. And then finally, use the time you have left we have one more Senate meeting. I expect it to be long. Honestly, I hope it's long, and we're going to stay here as long as it takes. Like I said last week, and people made a meme out of it, but we're doing the students' business, and we're going to do it, and we're going to complete it. So please be aware of that. But that's all I have. Thank you for sticking with me as I'm on my soapbox. But with that, I'm going to pass it to Senator Thomas.
Hi everyone, good to see you all tonight. I was our second to the last Senate meeting, which means that new legislation, if you have it, is due on Friday. So 4 days to wrap up whatever you're working on. If you have questions, if you need help with drafting your legislation, if you're not sure about how that process works, I'm in the Slack. My phone number and email are also in the Slack. They're also on the SG web page, so feel free to reach out. In addition to that, let's see, the SG banquet is being planned for 30th of this month, which should be in a couple of weeks. I don't have a time on that yet, but the executive branch is working on putting that down to have more details in the coming weeks. We also have a new senator being appointed tonight, so keep an eye out for that. He'll be up here shortly. And I have 2 pieces of legislation coming before the night, so hopefully you look over the agenda, taking a look at those and are ready with questions, because I am excited to answer them. But yeah, if you have questions, concerns, feel free to reach out and let us know.
Thank you, Senator Thomas. With that, we're going to move into updates and reports from our committees. So first off, the chair would like to recognize Senator Abdelwahab of Campus Services.
Guys, just 2 really quick updates. The first is that Senator Isaacs' legislation regarding the Office of Emergency Preparedness will be coming to the floor today. Our committee reviewed it and passed it favorably. And I know he's been working the entire school year to kind of build a relationship with them. So we're excited to see that progress. The other thing is that a couple people in our committee are working on creating kind of info sheets specifically for specifically Senator Malice is working on that. So currently we're working on one for concussions, but if there's anything else that you guys feel we should do something similar to, please let us know. We're happy to do that. And then finally, Senator Eden, who's been working with the Office of Sustainability, is going to be working with the senator who will be coming in the next administration to help continue that relationship. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Senator Abdelwahab. A reminder, when the last beginning updates I gave, be attentive. We can see people on phones. Just be aware of that. It's pretty easy to tell when people's heads are down like this. I don't want to have to say it again. Okay, with that, continuing on, Chair would like to recognize Senator Green, of Budget and Oversight.
Yeah, we'll be seeing a lot of budget oversight tonight. We have Senator Fine and Senator Henry are some of the authors behind Bill 3307, which we'll be seeing tonight. And then myself and FYP Director Grant Mitchell penned Proclamation 3310, which we will also be voting on tonight. Aside from that, the only other real update we have at the moment is that we did welcome back Senator Patrick Femia last week to committees, and he is going to do some wonderful work in the last week and a half we have here. So thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you, Senator Green. Next up, the chair would like to recognize Senator Harris of Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion.
Hey, how's it going, y'all? Sorry for being at the crib today. Currently dealing with some food poisoning and trying to keep my stomach from imploding. Quick updates. Hayden met with Dean Davis and also followed up with Sarah Cook, that's Senator Hayden Schwartz, on the creation of the actual resource fund. He's ready to get drafted legislation on that. And timeline is looking at possibly creating the fund in the fall. Senator Lindsey Smith is still awaiting creation and distribution of her surveys. And Senators Flanagan and Poland are in the process of drafting the proclamation for their blood plasma initiative with Pan-Hellenic. That's all I have for today, and thank you.
Thank you, Senator Harris. Next up, the chair would like to recognize Senator Kervin of Campus Safety.
All right, hey everyone. So we just have a few quick updates today. First of all, Senator Howard and I have a piece of legislation coming to the floor today about the Hope-in-Zille Middle scholarships, so you'll hear more about that soon. Additionally, the committee, or my committee, met today to work on our sexual assault prevention flyers. I'm hoping to get those posted on the UGA Senate page soon. And finally, I've been working with the psych department to look at their budget to look into potentially getting the cyclone renovated. So that's all from us.
Thank you, Senator Kervin. Next, the chair would like to recognize Senator Howard of Educational Affairs.
Hey everyone, quick update tonight. As Senator Kerwin just said, we have a piece of legislation coming to the floor in support of the Hope-in-Zille scholarships that went through Educational Affairs Committee last week. And that's all for tonight. Thanks.
Thank you, Senator Howard. And last but not least, the chair would like to recognize Senator Baxter of Student Experience.
Hey guys, so Senator Jackie Dodd has a piece of legislation coming to the floor with his brother tonight, so it's really cute, and Senator Jared Isaacs. Very excited for that. Senator Marilyn Dyer is working on something with some other senators to connect college ambassadors with our college senators. That's something getting to work on, but would probably be finalized in term. So yeah, crazy guys.
I was muted, excuse me. Thank you, Senator Baxter. With that, we're now in line for staff updates. So the chair would like to recognize Senate Chief of Staff, Matthew McDaniel.
Hey everyone, so just as Sam mentioned, we had about 65 individuals come and donate blood today at the blood drive, so huge thank Christopher for that. I do think it was extremely disappointing to see only 3 individuals that were in this room there tonight. So if you all see projects, participate in them. Because I think, Sarah mentioned it, but we are nearly half the legislation. It's quite disappointing to see the lack of legislation come through, so just be mindful of that. On a more positive note, we had 62 items donated today for Campus Kitchen, so thank you to those that donated this evening. In addition, as you all voted, there will be a Senate social at North Campus, looking at Kirby Field or around there, this upcoming Monday, the 22nd at 7 p.m. So about 7 to 8, we'll have some activities out there, as well as prepackaged snacks and some activities like that. So you'll see some updates coming through the Slack, as well as in the weekly on Monday, so please pay attention to that. In addition, you all voted on some tree planting that weekend. The office realized that was Easter weekend, so we're reevaluating that. But if you wouldn't mind giving me a quick poll, if you would be willing to plant some trees for the university / the Athens Park County community after your term has ended, so that's after April 5th. If you would not mind just raising your hand, I won't judge you. Awesome, thank you. In addition, there are still 3 surveys out. Dining services, 180 meal block plan, high-rise bus stop addition, and the curing and study location. So please make sure that you're filling those out, passing those along. Especially for those of you that may speak out of turn with respect to us not promoting certain things. If it's not in your story, don't continue to complain because most of you all don't post things. So if you're not posting it, we're not getting the word out. So there are 3 surveys out, there are multiple projects out. The blood drive was out, so please make sure that you're posting that. Because if it's not in your story, people aren't going to show up, and therefore you're not participating. So in addition, the libraries will be extended starting April 5th. In accordance to the work that George Moore, a first-year senator, has worked on, as well alongside with his peers. And so please do that as well. They've been doing some great work, and please share that information. We'll be working with you all on a safety week coming up in the coming weeks. In addition, Earth Day, something that Kelly, our Senate staff, has been working diligently on. We're doing a huge speaker in coordination with University Union, the ELS, and Office of Sustainability on Earth Day, and then putting on a movie night with RHA at Myers Quad. So please come to that. There's also a student farmers market the day before, as well as a ton of resource fairs throughout Tate. In addition, please make sure you're signing up for the Wall Street Journal. And if you need anything else, any assistance with legislation through Friday, we all stand ready to assist you so that we can really make up that lag of about 30 pieces of legislation from last year. So thank you.
Thank you, Matthew. Yeah, and just like to show like what you can get done is opening up those study hours for students. So great job to Senators Moore and Williams. for the work on that and extending those hours. Students wanted it. They listened, and a result was made for the benefit of students. So use that as a incentive and as an idea to get started and to try to leave an impact on campus before you leave this chamber.
Huge shout out to George and Kenya for that. They did some amazing work.
Yeah. Coming from our first years. So good job. Okay. With that, we have finished all of our updates. So thank you for sticking with us. We're gonna go ahead and move into new business. So the first item on our docket is the confirmation of an appointed senator. Also, a big shout out and thank you to Secretary Myers. This is not easy, all the stuff she has going around, so thank you. Okay. With that, here we go. Per the statutes and Constitution, the legislative cabinet of the Senate is required to open applications for Senate vacancies. We have done so in accordance with the statute. So we've been holding rolling applications and rolling interviews and reviewing them. We had some, one of those selected by the committee is here this evening, Mr. Jeremiah DeSesto. So with that, I would ask that Mr. DeSesto come to the floor. And you can come to the podium, Mr. DeSesto. And Mr. Sisto, I ask that you introduce yourself, present yourself, and why you want to get involved, and then we'll open up to some questions.
My name is Jeremiah Susta, using him pronouns. I'm a second year majoring in MIS and National Affairs. It's not my first time here. I was a senator last year under the first year programs. Passed a couple pieces of legislation. I'm excited to finish out this term with you all. Hopefully, passing a couple pieces of legislation next week in order to, like Sam said, or Matthew said, and bridging that gap of 30 pieces of legislation, but also being afforded the opportunity to speak with folks like Mayor Kelly Kurtz this past campaign season, really trying to push a lot of those pieces of legislation before next week.
Thank you, Mr. Sesto. He stands for questions. Does anyone have any questions for the nominee? Online, please use the raise hand function if you have any questions. Seeing no questions, thank you, Mr. Sesto. I will take back that time. And you have a seat. Thank you. With that, we'll move into formal debate on the nomination of Mr. DeSesto to an appointed senator. Is there anyone wishing to speak in favor or against this confirmation? The chair recognizes Senator Thomas, and you can come to the podium.
I would just like to speak in favor of this. Jeremiah has a great experience last year. It's going to be really critical over these next couple weeks because we only have a short term left. And so I think he has great experience that will kind of lend him some great skills and he has great insights from campaigning that will, I really think, benefit him in the next couple weeks.
Is there anyone else wishing to speak in favor or against? Seeing none, I will close debate. Do I hear a motion to call the question? There's been a motion. Do I hear a second? There's been a motion and a second to call the question. All those in favor, please say aye. All opposed? With that, the question will be called. The matter before us is the confirmation of Mr. Jeremiah DeSesto to an appointed senator. All those in favor of formal confirmation, please say aye. All opposed? And with that, the confirmation passes. Congratulations, Senator DeSesto. We now do the oath. So, Mr. DeSesto, you'll now be formally sworn in, so you can have all the rights and privileges of a senator. Senator Thomas will render the oath to you if you can come forward. And you can socially distantly share the podium.
DeSesto.
Do hereby affirm that I will faithfully support and defend the Constitution.
Do
Do hereby affirm
hereby affirm
that I will faithfully support and defend
that I will faithfully support and defend
the Constitution and all other governing documents
the Constitution and all other governing documents
of the Student Government Association of the University of Georgia.
of the Student Government Association of the University of Georgia.
And I will endeavor to fulfill my obligations
And I will endeavor to fulfill my obligations
to the students
to the students
in my duties as name of office
and my duties as Senator at Large
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my abilities.
Congratulations.
Congratulations, Senator DeSesto. This now means that you have all the rights and privileges afforded to you as a senator. Please use them at your discretion. Okay. Moving right along with our next order of new business. We have Proclamation 33-10. Okay. This one should be a very fun one and very interesting one. This is the first proclamation of this kind, but I'm going to let the authors speak on that. So with that, I would like to invite either of the authors at this time to speak. Just raise your hand. The chair would like to recognize Mr. Grant Mitchell.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for letting me join today. It's been a little bit since I've been in Senate when I was a senator, so it's nice to see some familiar faces, even on Zoom. Can't see the rest of y'all, but hello. My name is Grant Mitchell, and I'm the current executive director of first-year programs with the Student Government Association. And essentially, this piece was authored to support the purchase of t-shirts using SGA funds for the benefit of first-year program members within the Student Government Association. For those of you unfamiliar with first-year programs, we also call it FYP, outside of the wonderful first-year senators who have worked with you all of this year. We're essentially the part of SGA that builds across UGA and kind of connects these first-year students in class back to our mission here. And so it's done in niche way across our programs, whether that's our Connect program working with Cabinet, our Forum program working in service, or our senators working directly with each of you in first-year Senate. But with 145 program members, we're kind of the largest part of SGA and pour directly into our legacy as an organization and the success for this class of dogs. For those that do not recall when this legislation was passed or know, as SGA spending has looked very different this year, Bill 3302 was originally passed by the Senate last spring to reaffirm the fiscal responsibility for all parts of SGA. As noted in our legislation, this bill kind of states that when a purchase exceeds $600, in the case this for an order of t-shirts, Senate must help us approve the use of funds through legislation. So with a total of around $1,300, a purchase that comes out to around $10 per head in FYP, we require legislative approval now. So I'm here today to ask that each of y'all please help support our decision to celebrate our first year students for their dedication and persistence through this last year. And may I add, it's been a very hard year to be a new student on this campus. While t-shirts are normally collected through membership dues, this was a fee we eliminated this last year due to a lack of need and just general concern over program accessibility given COVID-19. So not only did FYP incur no individual costs this year with the absence of things like room reservations, but we chose to make a program experience that was even more open to students during unprecedented times, which was a very difficult thing to do. And I just want to commend them all because they have been wonderful to have and be a part of this year. So now we ask you for the mobility to really use our budget to give our students something to celebrate and share across campus as a community that's essentially supported their start and their UGA experience, and also as a final testament to the amazing work they're going to continue to do across UGA and SGA and beyond. We think it's one of the best ways we can show this as a tradition we've held within all former years of first year programs and as a use of our budget that does not incur any more costs than past years. And additionally, and possibly most importantly, I know this is not noted in our legislation, but it was popularly supported across our program through student members and interest surveys. So I'd just like to take a moment to thank Senator Green for helping us get this legislation together, interpreting financial codes that I was not up to interpret alone, and also Senate leadership for helping us to get this together literally last minute. But again, I hope each of y'all can really help us show our students what it means to have a genuine and heartfelt SGA experience by passing this legislation today. That's all for me. I don't know if Senator Green has anything to add, but I stand for questions as directed.
Thank you, Mr. Mitchell. The chair would like to recognize Senator Green.
Thank you. Senator Mitchell, I'm sorry, not Senator, Mr. Mitchell, my apologies, said it better than I possibly could have in regards to the emphasis that this means to FYP. I would simply like to reiterate that this is an expense that has been incurred in previous years. And unlike previous years, dues were not charged for FYP members, but they will still be coming in under their usual budget and costs due to the online nature and the lack of reservations required. So if you're concerned, if you have any concerns about the finances of the specific bill or this proclamation, please don't worry about it. It's the only reason that we are now taking this through Senate is due to a change in financial codes, not because this is somehow an unprecedented expenditure or that this is going to somehow break the bank. So I would wholeheartedly support this, and I also stand for questions.
Thank you, Mr. Mitchell. Senator Green. They now stand for questions. Is there any senator at this time wishing to ask a question, online or in person? With that, I will end questions and take back that time. Thank you to the authors. We now move into formal debate on Proclamation 33-10. Is there anyone wishing to speak in favor or against this piece of legislation? Senator Neon, are you a voting member? Sorry, I can't recognize you. My apologies. The chair would like to recognize Senator Lewis. Do you have a motion to suspend the normal rules for 1 minute? Okay. There's been a motion to suspend the normal order of business for 1 minute. This would allow this first-year senator to speak, who's passionate about this piece of legislation that affects her directly. Is there anyone wishing? Is there a second? Second. There's been a motion to second to suspend the rules. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All opposed? Okay. With that, the motion passes. Senator Neon, you're good to come down front. When you start, we'll start the timer.
Yes. We did and all we did again during this completed this school year, so the work is coming. So I think that
Also, we realize there may have been a technical difficulty on Zoomer's end about hearing some of that. We're working to resolve it. Thank you for those that reached out to us. Okay. Thank you, Senator Neon. With that, as the chair, I will take back that time. So we're now in normal order of business. Is there anyone wishing to speak in favor or against this piece of legislation? The chair would like to recognize Senator Henriot. Please come forward.
I would just want to speak on behalf of like a non-FYP student. All the people that I know in FYP have just really worked their butts off this year. It's been a very unprecedented year with COVID, and how they've adjusted to that has been really extraordinary as freshmen. So I see no problem with giving them a shirt to help commemorate what they've done this year.
Thank you, Senator Henriot. Do I hear any motions or anyone wishing to speak in favor or against? The chair recognizes Senator Femia. Okay. Do I hear a second? There's been a motion and a second to end debate. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Debate is ended. With that, do I hear a motion to call the question? There's been a motion, a second to call the question. All those in favor, please say aye. All opposed? The question will be called. The matter before us is the passage of Proclamation 33-10, a proclamation in support of SGA first-year programs, purchase of member T-shirts. All those in favor of passage, please say aye. All opposed? With that, Proclamation 33-10 passes. Congratulations. First-year programs will have their T-shirts. Let them have T-shirts. Congrats. With that, we'll move on to our next order of new business, Bill 33-07. There's 4 authors, so at this time, I would like to recognize whatever authors that would wish to speak at this time. The chair recognizes Senator Thomas.
Hey everyone, I hope you're having a good evening. So this bill is essentially trying to open up the way that Senate staff positions are appointed and selected. There are very few positions within the Senate that are unilaterally decided. President and fifth member elected by the entire body, committee chairs must be confirmed. There's a 6-person panel to appoint first-year senators. And so the purpose of this bill is essentially to kind of open that process up, to get other people involved and to ensure that, you know, that staff is more accessible and that you all also know who your staff members are, what work you're doing. And I think that'll also go a long way in recognizing the work they do, because they do a lot of great work for the Senate, and them being here is critical to the successes that we have had this year. They're a critical part of so many initiatives. And I think a lot of that goes unrecognized because a lot of people don't know who they are. And so the purpose of this bill is essentially to open that process up, to get legislative cabinet involved in the appointment process, similar to the way that we appoint senators. That's a legislative cabinet approval process. We interview people and make decisions. And so this is essentially trying to mirror that system and open the system up a little bit for people to have more access to our Senate staff. That is all I have. I'm not sure if the other authors.
The chair would like to recognize Senator Henriot. And you're welcome to cohabitate at the podium.
Yeah, so just to kind of reedify like everything that Senator Thomas has said, essentially this is like only outlining, codifying those positions that we have in staff, because staff is very crucial to the work that takes place in Senate, but we don't really have those positions outlined with necessarily kind of an overview and definitions of what their responsibilities are. So this just kind of sets the precedent going forward for future Senates, that here's what those positions are kind of supposed to do in their responsibilities. I think kind of going off what she mentioned, comparing this to appointed Senate seats, where it's an application process, we then have legislative cabinet decide on that, there's a vote, and then we appoint those senators. It's very similar in the sense that staff is representing the entire Senate body, just like appointed senators are. So therefore, we believe that that process should kind of just mirror the appointed senator process as well.
Do you stand for questions? Okay. With that, the 2 authors sitting here are now open for questions. Are there any questions for these two authors? The chair would like to recognize Senator Dyer. If you don't mind, so what's going to happen is if you all can stay, come over here, come in front of me, keeping this organized. If you have a question, you'll come down, you'll ask the question, go back to your seat, and then they'll come back in so they can answer the question.
Okay.
Does that work?
I just have a question and / request for information, if that can happen right now. I don't know how to-
You're just asking a question. Request for information is a separate motions made from your seat.
Okay, awesome. So as a senator who will be returning, I just kind of wanted to further clarify. And like, as you said, y'all are just trying to set some precedents for future senators, but like, I know there are a bunch of us in this room who will be returning next year. However, y'all will be retiring from your duties. So I'm just trying to get some more insight as to like what this is, like what precedents are you trying to set, if that makes sense.
Please be socially distant.
Yeah, so I think I initially tackled that in whatever it was. So I have been in Senate for 3 years now. I was a first-year senator. I served as a Franklin College senator this past year, and as a student committee chair, and I'm pro tem. And through that process, I don't know that it's so much as setting a precedent, but through that process, I've been able to see stuff being implemented. I've seen what has worked well and what hasn't. And one of the problems that we've had both last year and this year is a lack of accessibility. So people don't know who their staff members are. They don't know what they do. They don't know how to get a hold of them. And so the point of this again is really to try and open that process up. I think that when you don't have a stake in who is serving in those positions, it makes it really hard to be invested in what they do. And so the point of this bill is to kind of open that up so that there's more people involved in that process. And you all are very close to committee chairs, from what I can see. And so even having 6 extra senators involved in that process, I think will open it up so that when you come in for the next administration, you're a little bit more familiar, your senators are more familiar with their staff, and you can be a more efficient body.
Yeah, just I think that the idea of if we're not going to be here next year, then why change it now is very logical, because if that's the case, then why even do anything as senators for the rest of the year if we're not going to be here next year? I think it's our responsibility to do what's in the best interest of students. We believe that this is in the best interest of students. So regardless of if Sierra and I are going to be here next year, we're putting it forward. I will say that we've also talked with the legislative cabinet chairs and kind of gotten feedback from them and their thoughts on the whole process, because they're the ones who have been through it, and Sierra has as well. And in my opinion, it never hurts to have extra voices in the conversation on who's going to be representing the entire body.
The chair would like to recognize one of the other authors, Senator Will Harris.
Hey y'all, Committee Chair for Food Poisoning here. So I would also like to go and take this another step further and say that this is another sort of piece of legislation as the organized voice of the student body. This is another way to, again, further organize that voice and make sure that there's some sort of accountability. I'm not sure all what has been said because it's kind of hard to hear, but just to, again, apply some sort of accountability to Senate positions and make this less of a unilateral position, because we don't have totalitarianism in SGA, and this is a process that makes SGA more democratic and gives people much more of an input and a say of who's in their legislative cabinet, and makes things a lot more fair to the rest of the Senate. So I would think that someone who is a returning senator and someone, perhaps who may even be pursuing a Senate leadership position would, also favor this sort of piece of legislation, because it would make you and make the Senate itself more fair and much more, pluralist in a way that gives everyone a chance to sort of dictate and know who's in their legislative cabinet. It would better connect the legislative, not legislative cabinet, Senate staff, but it would better connect the Senate staff to the rest of the Senate and make them a lot more accessible and usable by the rest of the Senate, because I can think that everyone on this Zoom and in this room hasn't necessarily fully utilized all of the Senate staff. You might not even know who all of them are. So this is just another way to help better connect the Senate staff to the rest of the Senate body as well.
Thank you, Senator Harris. Is there anyone else wishing to ask a question at this time? The chair recognizes Senator Chris Jew.
Yeah, I just got a quick question. I noticed that there was a unanimous vote decision between the cabinet members for the staff selection. I was wondering what y'all's thought process was when deciding that, like over a simple majority or for 2/3. I just wanted some clarification on why it needed to be completely unanimous, because I know people do disagree sometimes.
Yeah, so I can kind of carry into that. The clause that I think that you're referring to isn't necessarily with appointments. It has to do with the positional duties of senators. And so the purpose of that clause, normally, it's a bill, right? So it's going to statute. And so in order to change anything outlined in those positions, we normally have to write piece of legislation. It would take a 2-week process to come to the floor. We voted on, and only then can that positional description change. So in the event that we have an ongoing event, that we have something that we're working on, and we need someone to be able to do something that's not outlined specifically in their positions, the legislative cabinet vote would authorize them to perform that duty without having to wait that 2-week timeline, because 2 weeks is a pretty significant timeline. A lot can happen in 2 weeks. And so because it wouldn't be going to a 2/3 vote of the entire Senate, we wanted to make sure that it was a unanimous vote of the legislative cabinet.
Are there any other?
Sorry. And we'll add that also mirrors how the process was for adding the bill to the agenda when it wasn't that outside yet.
You have the floor. Okay. Are there any other questions? I saw Senator Jew.
Just one follow-up to that. Since the unanimous decision isn't clearly defined in the appointments, have y'all said, I don't think I saw clear parameters for how the staff would be selected from the cabinet. Would it be more beneficial to add what percentage of the vote for that? Because I know that many heads in a room can come to be a hard decision when coming to select one person. I didn't know if y'all thought of that or what y'all's thoughts were on that.
Yeah, I am open to an amendment if you have one to offer. Normally, the way we do it in the appointed senator process, and the way that it's kind of written in the statute for that process right now, is that it's a simple majority. And so I guess essentially by not specifying that it has to be unanimous for 2/3, it would inherently be a simple majority. But I am open to adding something to that if that's something you think.
The chair recognizes Senator Dyer.
Sierra, you stated that you've been in the Senate for 3 years, which is totally awesome. Love that. And you've seen what works and what does not work. So why make this adjustment to define the way positions look if you don't know how things are going to look from year to year? This kind of traps a position into these little blurbs of the description into what they can and cannot do. And I think that's kind of an important flexibility that staff should have.
Senator Dyer, have you asked your question? I want the questions. This is meant for questions and not debate. I think some of the things you're saying would be better used at debate.
Sorry. Just trying to clarify my question. So why define these positions this way if you don't know whether they are or are not going to work in the future Senate?
Thank you for that. I think even as senators, our positions are defined in the Constitution. Every single position in SGA is defined in the Constitution. So to say that we're boxing us into a one Senate definition would also mean that us as senators are boxed into a one Senate definition. And I don't think that's the case. I think that you can see that it's not necessarily vague, but it gives parameters for what that position is supposed to be like. It doesn't say that this person has to do X, Y, and Z every single day, but it does give an outline as to what these positions are supposed to look like, so we can have a very coherent and well-functioning Senate on a weekly basis. So I don't see the argument in that we're defining rules, because as SGA, every single role is defined except these positions, and that's why we're running this bill.
Yeah, I think also if you look at the first sub-clause, I'm fine with it. Okay. If you look at directive initiatives, it says responsible for effective execution of Senate initiatives and program events. So I feel intentionally left that pretty broad, so that you're not really restricted in what our staff is doing, but it provides some sort of positional guidelines. And I think those are really important. These are the guidelines that we kind of used when we were deciding who to appoint for Senate staff. Very few changes have been made to that process. And I think in addition to that, I don't think that the problem is necessarily with the staff positions as they currently exist. Like, I think our staff does a great job. Their roles, I think, are very succinct and they meet the needs of the Senate. I think the position is more so with accessibility and with senators knowing who their staff members are and what they do. And so this isn't necessarily like restricting the way Senate normally functions or the way that staff normally functions. It's not trying to remove power from anyone or anything. It's really just trying to open that process up and make it a little bit more transparent.
Okay. Do I hear? The chair would like to recognize Senator Matthew Jew.
Can I ask
Okay. There's been a motion to suspend the rules for 3 minutes to allow some FYS non-voting senators to ask questions. Do I hear a second? There's a second. There's been a motion and a second to suspend the rules for 3 minutes for FYS senators only. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All opposed? Okay, it passes. The rules are suspended for 3 minutes. I'm gonna start the clock. Never mind. Matthew has it. You have 3 minutes. Oh, there we go. The chair would like to recognize Senator Mehta. I didn't see you coming, I'm sorry. Come on down.
Hi, I'm just here to voice like some collective kind of questions that we have as a group. So one of our questions was, how does recruitment work for Senate staff? Do you just want me to ask all of them?
We'll be able to like keep a chain of questions and answer them. Yeah, okay. Just ask in a chain as concise as possible, but yeah.
Right. So one of our questions was, how does recruitment work for Senate staff? The other one was, how does it, I know you mentioned that the intent is to improve staff accessibility and availability. So we want to kind of know like what your reason was, how like defining the positions would help do that. And then kind of just wondering how easy it would be to edit that like next year. So say Senate President Pro Tem Legislative Cabinet decides like at the very beginning that they have like a completely different set of positions that they feel might be easier for them. Just kind of what the access would be for them to be able to do that and how easily they'd be able to change this since this is a code and it seems pretty set in stone.
Okay, so to answer the first one, I don't know that if this answer is going to be super delineated, but I'm going to try and get in all the answers you asked for. In terms of recruitment for Senate staff, it's a very similar position to process to how we do appointed senators and how we have been doing pages over the last couple of weeks. And also how we really recruit for most other positions like cabinet applications. So we'll put out graphics, we'll put out kind of promotional stuff telling people that whatever position is open. And then people will apply for those positions through the involvement network, similar to how if you ran for re-election or if you ran for election, you have to fill out like personal information, you fill out questions on the involvement network. And so you'll go through that process. And then legislative cabinet will get those submissions, we'll review them, we'll contact you, schedule an interview. We interview people, and then we make decisions. And that's how things have worked for appointed senators. And so right now, the way things work for staff is we kind of do those same types of promotional things. And then I think we did a Google form this year for staff. And then it was me, Matthew, and Sam were sitting on interviews in his final say. And we kind of just went through the people that we had who had submitted that Google form. In terms of accessibility, I'm struggling to remember what the question was on that one right now.
We are back to normal rules, just so everyone knows.
Okay.
We're back in normal rules.
Right.
No,
Didn't
it's
unmute
okay.
myself.
Okay, so in terms of accessibility, I'm blinking on that one, hoping Preston remembers, the question wasn't getting answered. And then the last one, in terms of how set in stone this is, it's a bill, so it would go in the statutes, meaning that in order to change it, again, would be another bill that would be brought forward, similar to the way this one is being brought forward, and it requires the Secret Service to sign it to pass. The other thing that we added was that section 2 of 5.6, so that in the event that something needs to be changed more rapidly, that we don't have those 2 weeks to change something, legislative cabinet through unanimous vote can make a change. That specifically only applies to positional descriptions. So to change anything else besides the positional description would require a bill, which is about a 2-week process.
With that, do I hear any more questions? There's been a request for information. Please state the request. If it's succinct, I'll just repeat it. If it's long, come to the.
I just would like to, could we possibly see, I think there's a little confusion between legislative cabinet and Senate staff. I know I was a little confused when I first read the bill. So could we possibly see the Senate flow chart as well as the section 205 of the statutes are currently in.
Okay, thank you, Senator Dyer. Her request was to view Senate organizational flow charts. So we have lots of paperwork and bureaucratic stuff. So our wonderful staff of Macy and Matthew are going to pull that up for us, so we can answer that question. And then some original documents like to be looked at. The chair recognizes Senator Femia.
The senator's second request, the bill minus the highlighted portion is the current version. So
Yeah.
I don't see a point in that. The flow charts are good.
Yeah. Senator Femia pointed out that the original bill is on the original statutes are on the bill. They are just marked out and new additions are highlighted. This is the Senate organizational flow chart. Also, thank you to everyone hanging with us. Appreciate the patience. And thank you for everyone doing their due diligence. This is the request for information. We're not going to speak on it because there's not time for debate. Are there any further questions? But this answers your request. Any other questions? If not, I will reclaim the time.
Can you answer the second question? We just got the question back.
That's fine. Go ahead.
So to hit on the other question from the first year senators as far as accessibility, I think the point of this is this does not look different than any other positions outlining in SGA. However, Senate staff has only been around for 2 years, so it's never actually been codified like every other position. So this is creating kind of an accessibility as far as for legislative cabinet and the president and pro temp of the Senate next year to put out those applications and have a guideline of what these positions look like. And then students are going to be able to actually apply to those just like appointed Senate seats and stuff like that. So this isn't radically different than anything else that's in SGA. It simply just has not been done because Senate staff is younger compared to other things and positions within SGA. So I hope that answers that question.
I'm also going to tap on the note of accessibility. I think having something defined makes it more accessible, because if you don't know what something is, it's an abstract concept, you can't really understand it, right? And so I think defining this also makes it a little bit more accessible, makes people more aware of other staff does. But I think on the other hand, adding the legislative cabinet portion does, where legislative cabinet is involved in the appointment and selection process, makes it so that committee chairs are more aware of what Senate staff does also, so it's not just, Sam and I or whoever the president pro tem are, and so that instead of it being just like 2 senators who are directly interacting with staff, it's 8. And I think because committee chairs are so close to senators on their committee, work with them pretty directly, that accounts for the fact that like we cannot have 50 people bombarding a single person at one time. So if we have 8, if we have 8 senators who kind of know what staff does, who they are, then that makes it a little bit more accessible, a little bit more transparent.
Thank you. Are there any other questions or motions to be made at this time? The chair recognizes Senator Christopher Jew.
I just wanted to see what, we don't need to be like specific examples, but what like any feedback from the current staff was, or from the professional living closet regarding the like potential additions of the director for that. I just wanted to see, what their response was when you talked to them.
So on us, we're motioning to strike that in an amendment that will come up in debate. That was a mistake on my end. And then we kind of happy about these positions a little bit. They're the definitions that we created when we were interviewing in the first place for Senate staff positions. And so, yeah, I don't know, first, if you have anything you want to add to that.
I mean, yeah, I think it just goes back to kind of the basic point of like, this is just outlining what those positions are. It's not that we're creating some radical new piece of legislation. This just is codifying positions that we have in an SGA, just like every other position in SGA is codified. And we just think that it should mirror the other, like the other tasks that appointed senators and other things throughout Senate goes through, which is legislative cabinet. And it's always better to have 8 voices in on the conversation than 2. So I hope that kind of clarifies things and kind of puts to bed all the concerns and fears that this is something else that it's not. So thank you.
Who? We're not in debate. We're in questions.
Oh, sorry, any question?
Okay, if someone's asking, then we're doing it. As chair, I'm going to end questions. Thank you. You may be seated. With that, we're going to move into formal debate on this bill. Is there anyone wishing to speak in favor or against this bill? The chair recognizes Senator Haddon Powell.
Good afternoon. So sorry. I'm going to speak against this bill just because after reading it, so the Senate staff positions shouldn't be for everything, which I feel like it's kind of turned into. The chief of staff position created currently has no formal vote by the current Senate body. It should have been passed through the Senate body before we can applaud of it as an official Senate staff position in the Constitution and to further this bill. I think the bill that y'all have created is a very great, outstanding bill, but I think there's parts that can be revised and more frowned upon, I guess I would say. For instance, I think that all of the director positions that y'all outlined in here, such as director of communications, director of outreach, so forth, should not be given the same authority as the secretary, the parliamentarian, Senate pro tempore, and etc. There should be a board of directors per se with less power to govern the Senate body. Also, another thing, as questions have been asked, I'm kind of confused on how the Senate staff is going to be elected. I guess it's going to be based off of the legislative cabinet, which who's voting for the legislative cabinet. So it's kind of a huge circle I'm kind of confused on, but whatever. And then also, I think in y'all's bill, there needs to be an amendment to outline how many people are gonna be elected onto the Senate staff. And there needs to be a limit on it, and not just, we're just gonna add this person over because if we get into the Senate, so we're just gonna add this position on the Senate staff. So that's all I have to say for that.
Is there anyone wishing to speak in favor of this piece of legislation? We try to go back and forth, just that's precedent. Senator Kervin, the chair recognizes Senator Kervin.
All right, hey everyone. Yeah, I would love to speak in favor of this. I think there's a few great points here. I think it's really important that legislative cabinet be involved in the interview of for these positions. I think we did that for a lot of the appointed senator seats, and I think that was a really great thing. I think that worked really well. We have some great senators here in this room because of that. I think as well, it does increase accessibility because I think a lot of people don't really understand that these are positions that even exist. So having them codified and having like just a succinct description of the job, I think is really good for our attempts to publicize this. So yeah, that's just my 2 cents, but thank you.
Is there anyone wishing to speak on con? The chair recognizes Senator Gagliano.
Hello, everyone. So I just picked up on a couple of things after reviewing the legislation. So one thing I did notice is that you mentioned that there's 8 people that are going to be appointing the seats. 8 is an even number. How a tie would be broken in circumstances of that there's a disagreement on a person that has to be appointed, I think should probably be further outlined or just not implemented at all. I feel that having people in the appointment process, there's a lot of voices being thrown around, and I think it could slow things down in terms of Senate. We're all students, we're all busy. I feel like it's better and it will help speed the process of rolling with appointments just to have one person who has the power as the president and the president pro tempore who we have elected in the first place. So we are choosing these people. They are supposed to be representing our voices as senators anyway. And also I feel like there's other ways to get accessibility. Maybe just like reaching out to senators more, creating, I guess, more like bookkeeping stuff, Google Docs, having everybody set out that way. I don't really feel the need to kind of expand the process of appointing people to someone more than one person, especially if that person has already been elected in the first place by all of us. So that's just kind of my 2 cents on it.
The chair would like to recognize Senator Femia.
Just point of information, it's not 8 people, it's 7, because Senate President's a non-voting member. So that's not, just to make sure we're aware of that.
Okay.
Sorry.
Senator Gagliano, you've yielded the floor.
I
No, you have to sit down. If you wish to speak, you have to be recognized again, but you yielded. Is there anyone else wishing to speak? The chair recognizes Senator Kendall Henry. And then Senator Green, I have you next. Make sure people online, we have you.
Well, hi guys, I just want to speak in favor. I'm pretty sure that Will, Bryson, and NC are very well versed in Senate and the things that it takes to go into legislation, specifically codifying positions. So I'm putting my trust in them that they have done their due diligence in this and what it will take to make sure that this is successful. For people who have concerns with future terms, if this laws, you can change it. You are senators with power to fix those things. This is what we're elected to do. I believe that extra voices are always good. So having people to vote on another person's position never hurts. Not even into just one person can be a little bit, that would be more restricted than anything. Also with the descriptions, I also think that this is very transparent in helping us to understand what they're here for and what they do. Like Sia was talking about, understanding and leading our actual staff, this all helps with that, less restricting. So I think it's more help than harm, and it's kind of being misinformed and construed into another thing than it actually is. So I encourage you all to guys take another look at what you're looking at.
Senator Green, are you wishing to speak pro or con?
My speech is in support of the bill, so I can wait if there is a con in front of me.
1 second, I couldn't hear you. Try again, Senator Green.
My speech is in support of this bill, so if there is a person in front of me wishing to speak against it, I will respect that.
Thumbs up pro for me. I'm so sorry. Pro? Okay, we just had a pro. So hold that one thought, Senator Green. I will entertain if there's anyone wishing to speak con, so we can have a balance. The chair recognizes Senator Dyer. You will be up next, Senator Green.
Okay. If y'all know me, if you've ever talked to me before, you know that my thoughts are going 90 miles a minute. So I'm gonna try to make sense of my thoughts. I feel like we're talking about two different bills here. And I think that's pretty obvious because first and foremost, I was an appointed senator. And I am all in favor of having multiple people vote on that. I went through the process of being appointed, and I feel like that's really important. Obviously, you shouldn't have one person deciding, two people even deciding. So all of that being said, I think that that chunk right there, great. That looks awesome to me. That's great. That's a little check on President Pro Tem. That looks good. Furthermore, like I said, I feel like we're talking about two different bills because when you scroll down and you see all the new yellow, you see that all these things are added. And I would like to touch on what Senator Henriot said, that all of the positions in SGA are defined. No, they are not. The positions in the executive cabinet are not defined. Only the president, vice president, treasurer, and attorney general are defined. So I don't see the point of, if they don't have to define their cabinet, like why should we have to define our cabinet? Because as we were talking about earlier a little bit, things change from, I guess, administration to administration. And like Gabby was saying, I love that point that you elect the president. So you entrust that person with making the decisions on behalf of like you as a body. So just some great points that Hadden and Gabby made. So I really encourage you guys to listen to those and just consider the fact that this kind of feels like we're talking about two things no matter which side you're on. Oh my God, my dad always says irregardless, and that's just wrong. Regardless, it seems a little premature, and it clearly needs some revisions. So that's all. Thank you guys.
The chair would like to recognize Senator Green.
Thank you very much. I would like to lay out a few points here. First, as has already been pointed out, it is functionally erroneous to claim that having cabinet handle this as opposed to one individual is in any way, shape, or form going to be less efficient or less inclusive than having a diverse group of individuals who, let's also keep in mind, are confirmed by the SGA Senate, by a full vote of the Senate, and are appointed by the elected president and president pro tem. Now, I'd also like to keep in mind a number of factors here. First of all, just in the last few weeks alone, cabinet has successfully interviewed and accepted multiple appointed senators. Now, perhaps I'm biased, though functionally, I don't think I am. I do think that as a group of 7 driven individuals who are working to represent not only their constituencies, but Senate as a whole, cabinet is more than functionally capable of efficiently handling nominations. Second of all, we need to acknowledge that the Senate staff is not some separate entity. These are not 2 different bills, all due respect. This is one natural and cohesive bill designed to properly define the limitations and the roles of Senate staff who work with and under SGA senators. That is not to say that Senate staff is not a phenomenal group of people and who I greatly respect and appreciate, but it is important to not only acknowledge them, but to properly define their roles. And finally, I would like to circle back to this claim that has continued to be thrown around that by somehow having more people involved in the decision process, it's somehow going to be no more inclusive or even less inclusive. That is functionally incorrect. Not even speaking for myself, but for cabinet as a whole, I can tell you that right now, if there was a fear that this piece of legislation was going to somehow stifle debate or discussion or prevent more than qualified individuals from being nominated, it would never, ever have made it to this floor. So I want to be perfectly clear that this is a piece of legislation that not only should be affirmed, but must be affirmed, and that the arguments advanced against it have been false, erroneous, and quite frankly, simply downright spurious. So please affirm this piece of legislation.
So that was just a pro, so for balance, I'm gonna first gauge the room. Is there anyone wishing to speak against this piece of legislation? You have a point of information? Please state your point.
Can you check and see if cabinet positions for executive are outlined in definitions? Because I have a document from the SJ website that's been outlined.
In the statutes, it's just a list. Right? Huh? For cabinet positions, isn't it? Oh, for legislative or executive cabinet?
For executive.
They're not even in there. It's defined by the executive officers.
Okay, but there are definitions that outline for cabinet for executive.
No, that's what we did. No.
Okay, well, it's here. No, I'm saying it's on the SJ website, but I'm saying there is a point that.
Is it in the statutes or just on the website?
It's on the website, but I'm saying there is a definition.
The statutes are different than the website.
Okay.
We are not bound by website, we're bound by the governing documents. Chair recognizes Senator Femia. Please come, can you come up here, please state your amendment.
I'm not here to speak in favor or against, so I want to just clarify something regardless of the result. I would like to move to strike the S from section 205.5 subsection G. As you can see, there are numerous director positions and only one has an S indicated on it. And the reason for that is this director position is different in nature than the other ones are, of course. As a member of budget and oversight, I'm more than happy to let other folks in the room comment on this as well. Before I was on the committee, our committee demonstrated an in-depth review of the flowing closet and the need for multiple directors or one director. And the objective conclusion was one director. There's a public application held, that person was appointed, he's also in front of the room. He wants to offer input later on, but I wanted just for clarity's sake, offer to strike that. As was discussed during committee, the authors did not really adequately address my concerns during committee, so I want to do that here on the Senate floor.
Thank you, Senator Femia. There's been an amendment. Do I hear? Excuse me. There's been a motion, a second for an amendment. That means we now formally open debate on the amendment. Is there anyone wishing to speak in favor or against the proposed amendment? The chair recognizes Senator Thomas.
Yeah, I would just like to speak in favor of the amendment. All four authors have kind of an agreement on this. It's something that I asked Patrick before. It's also something that we mentioned when I was answering questions. So again, yeah, motion to strike the yes. We are all in favor of that.
Anyone else wishing to speak in debate on the amendment? With that, I'm going to end debate. Is there a motion to call the question? There's been a motion. Do I hear a second? There's been a motion, a second to call the question. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, the question will be called. The matter before us is an amendment to section G right here, chopping off the parentheses S and just making it director. All those in favor of formally amending Bill 33-07, please say aye. All opposed? The amendment is adopted. Thank you, Senator Femia. And Secretary Myers will update the document for us. Thank you, Secretary Myers. The bill has now been amended and modified. This is now the bill that we are talking. So I'll reopen debate on Bill 33-07. The chair recognizes Senator Isaacs. There's been a motion. There's been a motion, a second to end debate. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All opposed? Okay. Debate is now ended. Do I hear a motion to call the question? There's been a motion, a second to call the question. All those in favor, please say aye. All opposed? Okay, the question will be called. The matter before us is Bill 33-07. Do I hear a motion about how we will vote on this piece of legislation? There's been a motion to vote by roll call. All those in favor, please say aye. All opposed? We'll be voting by roll call. Only requires a 1/5 approval. Okay. Now, bear with us for a minute while we get everything set up. Secretary Myers and Matthew will get the roll call, and we'll make sure that we get everyone's vote recorded.
Okay, we're going to move into roll call. Say aye or nay when your name is called, even if you're online. Elia Elmore. Aye. Allison Fine.
Aye.
Alice, can you unmute yourself? Angela Sao. Bradley Howard. Bridget Helms. Bryson Henriot. Cameron Chu. Chance Lacey. Chris Harmon. Christopher Jew. Christopher Simon. Sierra Thomas. Connor Green. Dylan Fauntleroy. Ella Baxter. Gabriella Gagliano. Graham Hall. Haddon Powell. Hank Manning. Isabel Flanagan. Jack Nadad. Jared Isaacs. Jeremiah DeSesto. Juliet Eden. Kendall Henry. Kyle Becker. Laura Ramirez.
Aye.
Libby Poland. Marilyn Dyer. Minna Abdelahab. Morgan Lilly. Patrick Femia. Sam Bryant. Oh, excuse me, sorry. Samuel Cook, Hayden Schwartz, William Kervin, William Harris,
Oh, do I need to unmute?
Yes, what's your vote?
Oh, aye.
Zane Malice, Kenya Williams. Can you say that again? Joseph Frediman, Risha Hedge, Matthew Jew, Gabriella Lewis.
Thank you, Secretary Myers and Matthew, for doing roll call. Please hang tight with us while we calculate. It requires a 2/3 vote for passage. The chair recognizes Senator Henriot. Yes, he was sworn in. Yes, Senator DeSesto's name was called. He's been added to the roll and has all the rights and privileges. Senator Powell.
I just have a question. Is it 2/3 vote or roll call 1/5 vote? You said earlier.
It takes 1/5 to get a roll call.
Okay.
For a motion to have a roll call, it's 1/5. It requires 2/3 bill passage. Are there any questions online? Oh, I'm so sorry, people online, you didn't hear. I'm so sorry. Bill 33-07 passed. Okay. With that, we now come to our next order of new business, Proclamation 33-09. Thank you for everyone that stuck with us. That was good debate. Thank you for everyone's respectful conversation. And with this, the chair would like to recognize Senator Isaacs to come down and speak on his piece of legislation. And Senator, either one of the brothers Nadod, will you be speaking? No? Okay, cool. Thank you.
So I'll keep this really quick, but me, Jack Nadod, and Luke have been working with the Office of Emergency Preparedness for a long while now, and they just expressed that they wanted our formal support as SGA because a lot of their resources don't get utilized by the student body, such as UGA Alert, Live Safe App, as much as they would like them to. And this just pretty much is a bill to offer our support as well as expand student awareness about the programs they offer. And I stand for questions.
Does anyone have any questions for Senator Isaacs? Okay. Seeing none, I will end questions. Thank you, Senator Isaacs. With that, we will open debate. Is anyone wishing to speak in favor or against? The chair recognizes Senator Abdelwahab.
I just want to speak in favor. As I said earlier, Senator Isaacs has been working for a long time with OAP to try to get them on board. This is something that they requested, and I think anytime an organization wants a strong relationship with SGA, that's always a great thing. Yeah, so I just want to recognize their hard work and speak in favor of the bill.
Thank you, Senator Abdelwahab. Is there anyone else wishing to speak? The chair recognizes Senator Thomas.
I was going to second that. Jared's been doing a lot of great work with Office of Emergency Preparedness. I know this is something that he's been working on for a long time. And I think he's really exemplified what it means to be a senator and what it means to kind of extend our roles in order to meet the needs of the student body and work with departments and with students to make sure that, you know, we make this campus a safer space for all. And so big props for that.
Thank you, Senator Thomas. Anyone else wishing to speak? Seeing none, I will end debate. Do I hear a motion to call the question? There's been a motion. To hear a second. Second. There's been a motion and a second to call the question. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All opposed? The question will be called. The matter before us is the passage of Proclamation 33-09. All those in favor, all those in favor of passing, please say aye. Aye. All opposed? Proclamation 33-09 passes. Congratulations, Senator Isaacs and Senators Nadod. Okay. Next up, we have Resolution 33-10. The chair would like to recognize Senators Howard and Kervin.
Hello, everyone. So just a quick rundown on the bill. This is a spiritual successor or re-update to a bill that passed in 2011 with like the 22nd, 23rd, somewhere around that. The last time that we moved into the scholarship had to do change actually led to the creation of the scholarship. What sort of the idea behind having this, passing this, is to put our weight behind the support of those scholarships. So that the next time that the Georgia State Assembly decides that they want to change something and we say we're against this, we have just a little more weight behind it of we supported it even whenever this wasn't up for some ginormous $1 million change. So this is why we're against this now. And it brings a little more weight to the argument and to the conversation.
Yeah, I'm just gonna say, as far as what's arcane in the bill, it mostly just captures just how much attention has on UJ student body. So a lot of statistics and a lot of numbers, but roughly about 80% of UJ students benefit from either zone or scholarship, which is, you know, pretty critical. And that's pretty much most of what the bill contains within its.
And we stand for
Are there any questions for the senators? Seeing none, thank you both. You may take a seat. With that, I will formally open debate. Is there anyone wishing to speak in favor or against this piece of legislation? The chair recognizes Senator Howard. I got you next.
Yes, I would like. Added in a section explaining what the eligibility for Hope and Zell was, as well as fixing some of our citations that we noticed we forgot to cite the fact book where we got one of our information for the 2018 data. And then we cut out in the indication that trying to do the way this is. So I had gotten some of the updated info from a member of the Office of Student Financial Aid. I could not get full permission to include their name because I could not get a hold of them within the time of passing this, so I just cut that out and just included the information. And so that is the amendment. To my-
I will say my apologies from Robert's rules, my bad. Senator Howard, you cannot make an amendment on your own piece of legislation, but on the floor right here. But Senator Femia, I think is going to do it for you.
Can I move to amend what Senator Howard?
Yes. Yes. What Senator Howard just explained, this motion is done by Senator Femia. Is there right here second? Okay. There's been a motion to second for the amendment talked about by Senator Howard, but presented by Senator Femia. All those in favor, please say aye. All opposed? It's amended. Thank you, Secretary Myers. Okay. Thank you, my bad. It's been a long evening. Anyone else wishing to speak in favor or against or offer an amendment? The chair recognizes Senator Powell. Is there anyone else wishing to speak? The chair recognizes Senator Dyer. Friendly or regular amendment?
Friendly.
So it doesn't change the integrity? Okay, please state your amendment.
There's GPA, in the part that we just amended, the acronym GPA should probably be capitalized. Right there.
Okay, there's been a friendly amendment just to capitalize GPA. Do the authors accept? Okay, the authors accept the friendly amendment. Friendly amendments don't change the integrity of the bill, so just can be accepted. Okay. Okay, thank you. Yeah, it's good. Huh?